Well, I've been wanting to do this video for a while, and it's kind of a revision on the video I've done regarding what caravan would I advise buying. Now, in the last video, when I did this probably last year, I wasn't very, well, I was complimentary about all of them because they're all extremely good, but I also said that there wasn't anything that really stood out because I didn't really think that there was much difference between them. But now, after being to the Elddis factory, then I would say that I would probably say that after what I've seen up there, with the team that are behind it and the things that they put in to kind of really make sure that they're not doing the cardinal sin, which is what I think most manufacturers are doing by just building the same caravan with the same inherent problem in it year after year after year. And the issue with that is if you bought a caravan 4 or 5 years ago and you've had an issue with it, and lots of people have, that's the other disappointing thing, that there are lots of people out there that would have had issues, whether, you know, whatever it is, we all know what they are. What you would then think is that, right, okay, I want to change the caravan. I'm going to the show in October, or I'm going into a forecourt. What can I buy? Well, has that issue that I had in my last caravan been resolved so that I'm not just buying the problem again? Now, I couldn't say that that was the case with all the manufacturers, or with any of the manufacturers, to be honest. But after being to the Elddis factory and seeing what they've done over the past several years, then I can say that that was one of the biggest things that that I came away with, that was the case. They weren't just looking at putting a sticker over it or a plaster over it and sending it out and then building the caravan in the same way. Now, I saw specific data that can back that up, which I thought was probably one of the strongest kind of PR things that they had. And it's absolutely kind of critical to know that if you do something, you need to be able to measure it and you need to be able to see if it's working or not. And that's what I saw when I went up to the factory. It wasn't just the people that are now in charge and their kind of ethos behind the products and where it's going forward. And that was one of the biggest things actually that I found out, that the people behind it and that have been brought in to change the way that the Elddis product is going are extremely good. And that's probably where one of the biggest things that I came away with the show from the visit was that I was confident in those. But it's the data as well. You can see the data, you can see that the issues that have been historic, that have now been addressed, you can see that those things aren't there anymore. And you can also see that if it does happen again, that the factory jump on it, because it's kind of like I said before, it's like kind of DEFCON 1. If they've solved a problem and then that problem comes up again, then it's like, oh crikey, what's happening? Because I thought we solved that. 9 times out of 10, it seems to be that it's a customer error or something like that, they can get to the bottom of it and work out that it isn't a process error, and there isn't anything wrong with the factory that they have to change. And it's happened a couple of times, and it's kind of been like, oh phew, that wasn't anything to do with us, so not a problem at all. But the thought that that process is ongoing, that's what gives me the confidence. It's not just, oh, that's happened, oh, let's get it under warranty and chuck it out again and carry on. That's just not the case. Now, to be fair to the other manufacturers, I don't know whether they're doing the same thing because I haven't been to their factories, I haven't spoken to them, and it may well be that they're doing exactly the same thing as Elddis are doing, and they're really focusing on addressing the inherent issues that are built into the product to make sure they're not there again. I just don't know. Now that's down to them to get that information out there so that you, the consumer, can make that decision. If you have had an issue in your previous caravan and you really want to know that it's not there again, then ask them. If you go to the show, if you speak to the people on the forecourts and say, look, I've had this issue, can you guarantee me that this issue isn't going to happen again? What has changed? Has the process in the build changed? Have they done something about it? And I can say that after I've been to the Elddis factory, there were some historical problems that I kind of brought up and I said, what about this? What about that? And it was a categoric no, we've been through the warranty data, we sorted this problem out, and they told me exactly why and how they did it, which to me was really interesting. To you, it might not be it might be very boring, but what came out of it was the fact that anything that is historical has been sorted out. And I'm not going to say that it's going to be 100% guaranteed for the future, because these products are made by people and processes, and they're always going to be infallible. You can't get 100% guarantee, but I think that again, when I came away from the factory and after meeting the people, I know that if there was an issue, it would be a lot of head scratching and a kind of lot of what's going on here, rather than, like I said, putting a band-aid over it, or plaster. We're not in America, are we? Putting a plaster over it and putting it out and then just building it in the same way again. So I would say that if you are thinking about buying a motorhome or caravan, have a good look around. I would say that I would be confident to say that Elddis would be the one to go for. If you don't like the product for any other reason, then go to the other manufacturers and ask the question, has this been solved? Will I get this same problem again next time if I do buy another caravan? If they can't answer that, then it's kind of answered your question as well, isn't it? But you need to know this, because I think it's letting everyone down if they don't address the current issues. And like I said, I don't know whether they've done it or not. They may well have, but they need to, if they have, they need to find a way to let you know that that's what they've done. And I don't know what that is. I'd, maybe invite me up to the factory and show me what it is, and I can do the same kind of video for them. I don't know. But if you're going to the show in October, or if you're going to the forecourts, then I would give the Elddis product a serious look. Whereas historically, I think people haven't been, because of the historical issues that people have been talking about a lot, including myself. Like I said, I was the first one to do this last year when I said with Elddis in trouble, but it's because that's what I thought. That's what I was reading in my comments, and also from speaking to some of the dealers as well. And then it wasn't looking good, but that wasn't. That the systems that have been in place were well in place, but I just didn't know about them. So that's as much as a fault, the issue of the manufacturers, as actually solving the problem in the first place, is letting us know what is going on. There's no point just fixing it all and then we're still out there thinking these caravans are rubbish and that's going to happen and that's going to split and this is going to fall off, when actually they're going, well, no, we've solved all that. Well, tell us about it. And I think that's part of me going up to the factory and speaking to Adam and finding out their team in my very small way. Don't get me wrong, I don't think I'm going to change the world, but I've got a few people that might listen to my point of view, and I do think that I would be confident to say that I would look at the Elddis product maybe above everything else at the moment. But like I say, if you don't like that, find out from those manufacturers if that inherent problem has been solved. The other thing is, I'm going to be doing a radio interview with Adam, all being well. That's looking pretty promising. He's keen to do it, and so am I. Now, there's lots of things that I would love to say, but I don't know if I can say. So if I do a radio interview, I will be asking Adam some questions, and then he'll be able to answer those in his own way. So I think that's going to be really telling. I'm going to be doing that on Caravan Radio. If you haven't been to Caravan Radio, go and have a look at them. That's caravanradio.co.uk. I'm on there spouting my stuff, and it's a really good station, so go and have a look at that. We'll be doing a radio interview exclusively on there. So I think that's the best medium to do it with, really. And I want to do that before the NEC show, which is coming up in October, because I think a lot of people are going to be there making a decision. So if I can get that interview in and done with Adam, and we can have a really good conversation about what's going on, he will be able to talk to you about things much better than I could. A few key points that I did see at the show is, if you want to buy German, buy an Elddis, because it's got German DNA in it. When I was speaking to the R&D guys, Ben, I think it was called, in the R&D department, it was kind of, again, another throwaway comment, was that he had meetings with lots of the other people in the group, and if they have a problem then they want to solve it, then they just go to the group and they ask it. And if you have a look at some of the detail, some of the people and manufacturers that are in the group, I mean, it's there's some significant big players there. So they can just go and call on all that data that they've had for years and years and years, rather than having to do their R&D themselves. So that was fantastic. And then I thought, well, hang on a minute, that means that actually, if you want a UK van, then you can buy an Elddis or a Swift or a Bailey. But if you want German vans, with the DNA that's actually built into it, then the only one that's doing that at the moment is Elddis, because they are using the technology from all the German manufacturers and continental manufacturers that they are part of the group with, they're bringing all that DNA and putting it into the Elddis product. So it is an English caravan with German DNA. So if you want to buy, you know, a lot of people say, I'm gonna stop buying English, I'm gonna buy German. Well, buying an Elddis product, that's pretty much what you're doing. You're buying, you know, you're buying that German DNA with that English kind of feel to it. Because I know we don't like the look of the German stuff, and for all the reasons I've said, talked about before. So sorry again, I keep waffling on. I do this freestyle, so I can just things just come out of my head. If you don't like the waffle, I apologise for that, but it kind of gets all over there. So yeah, come and see me at the show. I'll be on the stand at Caravan Radio. I'll be there on the Monday and the Tuesday. Have a look at the Elddis product. Speak to the people behind the desk at Elddis and really kind of get a feel for what they're doing. Ask them some of the things that I've been telling you about. Keep an ear out for Caravan Radio. I'll put a link at the bottom to go there, sign up, have a look at that, get that all kind of tagged into your social medias and stuff like that, so you'll find out exactly when that will be going out. All being well, it won't be too long, it'll be fairly soon. I'll probably see if I can sort that out this week. So have a listen to Caravan Radio and keep an ear out for this interview, because I think I don't know if anyone's done this before, certainly not on radio, because there hasn't really been the media, to have a conversation with someone. I'm not going to skirt around it either. I'm going to kind of ask some decent questions as well to really get to the bottom of where Elddis are going and why they're going there. So that'd be a really good thing to listen to. So you'll probably hear me before the NEC show. I might do a couple of other videos, but if not, come and see me at the show and I will see you there. Oh, I forgot to say, if you do end up buying an Elddis caravan or motorhome, because of something I've said, could you let them know, just so I can kind of go like that, and prove that this does work, and the social media and the kind of the way that we're presenting things, and the very fact that they need to get the information out there is working. So it'd be really great if you could let me know that you are going to buy something, and if you can let Elddis know, then that would be absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much.